Hello goat lovers, Crystal here with Blue Cactus Dairy Goats, and we're in the kitchen again. I'm going to get on a cheddar. Alright, so for starters, I am going to make a 3-gallon cheddar. So I have my big pot here, I got my thermometer, and I got 3 gallons of raw goat's milk. First step here is to get it up to 88 degrees. So I'm just going to put it on low and get it up to probably about 86, 87 degrees, and then shut the stove off, because the residual heat from this pan is going to bring it up to that extra temperature or two. Okay, so we are to the point where this milk here is at 88 degrees. So right now what we're going to do is put in our mesophilic culture. So there's different cheese making companies that you can buy it from. You can buy it in these little tiny packs. And this is just mesophilic MM100 or to 101. But yeah, so they come in about 4 or 5 packs, and they will set like 2 pasteurized gallons or up to 4 unpasteurized gallons with one of these little packets. So they're already pre-measured, so they're nice, they're handy if you are just going to be making a few cheeses. As far as being cost effective, they're not as cost effective as if you just buy one of these larger packets and use a teaspoon and measure it yourself. So they are, again, different. They're both mesophilic, but they're both different from different brands. So I've been using these ones a lot, and I'm going to try using this one. Let's see. So it can alter the taste slightly and things like that. So I've made multiple cheddars using these little packets from the cheesemaking.com, and this one I actually got from the cheesemaker.com. It gets confusing. So anyway, we got 3 gallons here, and up to 4 gallons of raw milk. All you need is 1/8 of a teaspoon. So 1/4 teaspoon, my bad. Just gonna measure out 1/4 teaspoon. We're gonna sprinkle this all over the top. And at this point, we're just going to let that hydrate. So because it's a really fine powder, we want that to soak up some of that milk. That way when we do stir it in here in 5 minutes, it's going to get well incorporated. So we're going to let it sit on top like that for 5 minutes, and then we're going to stir it in. Okay, so our mesophilic culture has had time to hydrate, and it should be good and easy to get incorporated in through the milk. So that's what we're going to do now. You got your ladle spoon, and in up and down motions, trying not to tick off your milk and all the fats and all that good stuff. And now at this point, don't break the surface again, to try to not get any bacteria, if possible, into that milk there. We want to just make sure it's really well blended. Okay. So hold the spoon there, stop the milk. So it is holding steady. I love, love, love this pan, you guys. Just because of the large amount of milk, and this pan is really good, it holds that heat to the temperature you're wanting it at. So I'm going to keep my eye on it, but we want to keep it at 88. And now that mesophilic culture has to sit in this milk and ripen the milk for 1 hour. Alright guys, so now it's been an hour, and the mesophilic culture has ripened the milk, so we're good on that. And now it's time for the rennet. Now I'm using animal rennet from the New England cheese making supply company. It works really well. This is a really good rennet, sets up very well. It does call for, it says a ½ teaspoon sets up 2 gallons of milk in 45 minutes. Not with raw milk, so you don't really need that much rennet when you're working with raw milk. I'm going to use a quarter teaspoon, and it seems like not a lot at all for 3 gallons is what I'm doing. So you're also going to want a 1/4 cup of water. We're going to put the rennet into the water so that it can just spread more evenly throughout the milk. Just a little, that's it, you guys. Can you believe it? 1/4 teaspoon. in there. If you add a lot of rennet, you can also alter the taste. So don't use more than you need. Our temperature is holding good. Okay. So what we do, we're going to pour it over the slotted spoon here. Just kind of move it around. Like so. Same thing when we were stirring in the culture. Up and down motions. You want to make sure this gets incorporated really well. Try to keep your spoon from breaking the top. We should be good, guys. Now we gotta wait for 45 minutes for this to set up into the curd. It'll be a big solid curd. And then that's when we're gonna cut the curds. Alright guys, so it has been technically 50 minutes. The timer went off like 5 minutes ago, but I was doing something. So we're gonna check the curds. They should be good and set. You can look, I can see it on the thermometer. Look at that. Beautiful. See, you didn't need a whole bunch of rennet. So, for starters, we're going to cut these in 1/2-inch cubes. Let's just check one more time. Look at that. That's beautiful. That is a nice curd, guys. Okay. So, let's do the cutting. We're going to try to keep the curds as even as possible. This is actually the fun part. It's satisfying. You actually get really lucky when the curds are stuck to the side of the pan, because when it's not, it's just like this big blob of curd, and if the whey's on the outside, it just wants to roll around on you, so it makes it a little hard. So it's nice when it does stick like that, but it looks like it just broke, so look at that. I turned it and here we go. And we're going to do it this way while it's spinning. Now's the tricky part. This is the part where I have to take my ladle and try to go through it with still trying to keep it, you know, cut it about a 1/2 inch deep, and then again on, you know, as you go deeper and deeper. So, we'll see. Let's do her. Now you go deeper. So now we're just going to let this sit for 5 minutes, let some of that whey release from those curds that we just broke, and then we're going to pull those curds up, the larger ones, up from the bottom, and just get those ones cut so that hopefully there's a uniform, as close to a uniform size as possible. Alright, so the curds have then settled to the bottom a little bit, and you can see they've released quite a bit more whey. So at this point, I carefully, I'll just kind of pull them up like that, big fat boy. They're kind of sticking to each other. You got to be careful with that. So I've been doing like a lot of research as far as the cheddar. So I was able to get an amazing, amazing Colby, which was my favorite. I love it, love it, love it. Really smooth, creamy, melty, and just had amazing flavor. It wasn't dry in texture at all. And I had really good success with the Colbys. I also had a really good success with the Monterey Jack that I made. And then I made a couple pepper jacks. So, I was satisfied with those ones, but the cheddar, anyway, I've been doing some research, so I'm trying to figure out what it is. Like, is it just that way that, you know, if it sits for 2 months, it's just dry? It has to sit for for a whole year before it starts, you know, being creamy and so forth. So this time, I'm wondering if I'm not going to dry out the curds or release as much whey as I have been with the cheddars. And then I'm going to press it. I'm not going to press it as hard the first couple of turns as I typically do, as to what has been said. So I'm going to try to get those curds to mat together once I'm getting them in the press, slower, if you will, so that maybe less of that whey comes out all at once. And maybe with not such dried out curds and just a slower press time, that might help my cheddar. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna try it. And of course I got my book to take notes on. So at this point, I'm pretty good. Even the smaller ones that cut, they just start releasing all that whey pretty quickly. So even they're getting smaller. But I think I'm at a good stopping point. At this point, I'll put it back on the stove. We're not going to turn it on yet. We're going to let this sit for 20 minutes so that it can release even more of the whey. And then at that point, we are going to very, very, very slowly just kind of stirring it frequently to help release that whey. But slowly, over a 30-minute period, we need to get this pot from 88 degrees up to 98 degrees. And that 10 degrees should take about 30 minutes. Okay, it has been 20 minutes, so we are going to check these curds because they're certainly have released more whey, but probably a little matted together. Yep. So very gently try to just unmat them. This is when we're going to turn the heat on extremely low. So we want, again, we're going to be stirring constantly for this 30-minute period, and we want it from the temperature it is now, which is like 86, should be 88. We're going to get it up to 98. So it's not very many degrees, just 12 degrees higher. We got to get this in a 30-minute period. So again, super, super low. I'm just going to continue to stir, kind of an up and down motion. Make sure you're getting them off of the bottom because obviously the bottom of the pan is going to be a lot hotter. You don't want anything sitting down there too long, getting that direct heat. So just keep stirring and unmatting them. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. We are at 98 degrees. And look at the curds, guys. So they've gotten a lot smaller. We still have some bigger ones, but they're getting there. So in the next 30 minutes, this one is, if you guys can see it, you see how all that whey is inside of that? I hope you guys can see that. But it's juicing out with whey, right? This little guy here is not. It's too little for my one finger to, okay, well, let's try this one. This one feels pretty firm. So this one doesn't have a bunch of whey coming out of it. I know that's hard to see. But anyway, the inside of them, when you bust them open, you don't want like where it looks like juice or whey is actually coming out of them. So for the next 30 to 45 minutes, it says stir occasionally, but I'm going to be stirring probably more than occasionally, just simply because the curds just always seem to sink to the bottom and mat you know, stick to each other. So that is not what I want. The heat is now off, and we want to make sure that we keep the temperature at 98 degrees. So just keep an eye on the temperature through this 30 to 40 minutes of stirring it occasionally. You want to make sure that that stays at 98 degrees. So turn it back on really, really low if you need to, and then if you do turn it back on for a couple minutes, make sure you're stirring that whole time so that those curds aren't getting cooked on the bottom of the hot pan. It's been 35 minutes. And I am pretty happy with the curds, so I do believe I'm going to strain it. Some of them, like even that larger one, it's a little squishy, but it's got good firm texture, so it's not seeping a bunch away, which is good, because you don't want it to. So they're still kind of a bit creamy, but not real rubbery, which is what I was trying to achieve, hoping to get that creamy cheddar, not so dry. At this point, I'm going to strain it and get it into a colander so that it can drain for 10 minutes. So just a quick tip too, I'm going to wet my cheesecloth, soak it in that way, so that the curds aren't going to stick to that cheesecloth. Alright, we just got our curds sitting in this colander over the pan, the stock pot, and we're going to let it sit there for 10 minutes just to get all that extra whey off. And this whey is what we got. So out of 6 of those jars, 4 of them are whey, and that's the curd. So maybe if I find some time tomorrow, I might be able to make some really good ricotta out of that whey. If not, it'll go to the animals. Okay, so we got all of our curds pretty good and drained. So they've been draining for 10 minutes, and they end up just this big matted wad of curd. So we're going to break it up with a very, very clean hand. I'm feeling good about these curds, you guys. Break them up pretty good here because we've got to salt them. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of salt, and I'm going to salt half at a time, or 1 tablespoon at a time. Get it all incorporated, and then add the other tablespoon. Squeeze the salt in there. Now the other tablespoon. Doing this is going to be releasing some more whey too, but that's alright. Tell you what, guys, when you get to this point, it gets pretty exciting, because we started that at 1, and it is 6:38. But it looks like I'm feeling pretty good about these curds. Only time will tell. I think that's good. Good and salted. So I'm going to rinse my hands and we'll get it in the press. So this is the cheese press that I have. This one does not have weights, so I just kind of have to gauge the pressure. And as I said, I'm going to go a lot lighter for the first initial knitting and pressings. So, because we're going to have to turn it a couple times. So anyway, I'm going to get my wet cheesecloth. Doop-a-doop-doop-doo. Come on. And attempt to get it in there evenly. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to pack these curds in. Okay, if you can see that, even when I'm pushing down, if you guys see like that milky That's the cream. You don't really want to lose much of that, but that's why I'm going to press it really light as possible. So alright, I probably just made a huge mess all over my table. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to take the long end here, put it over, try to make it so there's not going to be a lot of creases on the top of it sticking to me. You don't want a bunch of creases. So, let's see. Stick this bad boy in here. Alright. Now we go down. Now I'm waiting just until I fill the cheese. Just throw that in there. That sound was just from the cloth. Okay, I just heard it. Like a little bubbling. But that was no pressure really. And there it is. Okay. That is like very, very light pressure. So that's, I'm just going to leave it right there. And I'm going to do this for 20 minutes. And then I'm going to recheck it and redress it. You'll have to take it out and flip it, and then redress it and put it back in here. So hopefully the slower method of not pressing it so hard is going to work better. That's my goal. Alright guys, so it has been 30 minutes. I decided to give an extra 10 rather than the 20 minutes, just because I'm pressing it lighter. I want to make sure this is knitted together so enough that we can actually redress it. So let's see. So if it didn't do very well, ooh, that's not going to be able to be redressed. Maybe. Let's see. Feels pretty tight. Ooh. Okay guys, this should absolutely be knitted together more. So, be careful. Well, it is knitting together, but with that light press I did, not too much. So I'm going to be super careful. Trying to get all that up there. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to be so careful. It's usually way more knitted. Okay, put that bad boy back in there. Pretty much all I did is flip it around. You can see the bottom. Well, this part was on the bottom. That's obviously much more knitted together than that top was. Okay, we did it. So it's sticking together really nice, actually. That's like a really, really good sign, because you know, when I first looked at it, it was like, oh great, I'm not going to be able to turn it over, but it's sticking really, really well, which is what I wanted, which is what I was hoping for. So, feeling good. Just try to straighten the cheesecloth out as much as possible. Throw the long piece over. Alright, here we go again, guys. So this one is technically supposed to be the 30, which the first one was 20, which I did 30, and this is supposed to be a 30-minute press, and I'm going to do it real tight again. I want it slow until it is matted together, or netted together, until the curds are netted together, and then I'll do the harder press. Because I want to keep as much of that cream in there as possible. So not yet. And you hear it. You guys hear it? Listen. I don't know if you guys heard that. I'm kind of debating. I gotta do a little bit of a harder press here this time, guys. Okay, that's it. I'm not going any further. That's still not a really hard press, so I'm gonna try that one. Again, second press is supposed to be 30 minutes. I might leave it in here for 40. Okay, guys, so it has been just over 40 minutes. Got done with all of our chores. We're gonna check her out. So in theory, this, I will be turning it one more time, but we'll have to see how the knitting is and see how hard I want to press it down before I decide if it might have another before I go to bed. Might have another. Just trying to press it a lot slower. Ooh, looking good actually, I can already tell. Nice. Ooh. See that? And it's not knitted real good. See? It would crumble apart really easily. So this one I'll give at least an hour or two. And then I'm just going to do the same thing again right before I go to bed. And at that point, I'll give it a harder press. And it's going to be for at least 12 hours. So I'm giving more flips and more presses just because I'm doing them lighter, trying to keep that cream in the cheese. So far so good. I mean, it's doing its thing. It's knitting together. And this cheese, I will probably open it 2 months so I can keep notes and just a little piece at a time just to see the development, the aging, and what it's doing. Okay, it's on the cheese. Okay, that was a little bit of a tight squeeze there, so I'm not going to go any further. I could probably get another halfway around, but we're going to just stay. Good morning, everybody. It is time to flip and redress this cheese again. Last night, as I mentioned before I went to bed, so a couple hours after that last flip you guys saw, I flipped it again, redressed it, put it back in here, and still just continuing kind of with a lighter press, just until I feel it squeezing. It's been about 12 hours, and I'm going to flip this bad boy again, and then I'm going to press it for 24. So let's see what it looks like right now. Alright. Nice. Okay, that looks very, very, very knitted together. And I have just barely, guys, been, you know, again, trying not to over press it out too quickly. So just barely giving it a squeeze until I hear it, just a slight pressure where usually I'd crank it. So hoping this makes a difference, but we'll have to see. Look at that, guys. Lovely. That's really pretty. Okay. Working well. Okay, so now I'm just going to repress it. If it gets back in there. There we go. So for this process, or this pressing, I'm going to continue through the 24-hour period. Because this isn't weights, obviously it's not a continuous, like if there's room or something's getting dripped out, it's not weighing it down and continuing to push on it. So anyway, it'll press, and then eventually there's, you know, you could tighten it a little more. So I'm going to continue to check and tighten this through this pressing. It's looking good though, guys. Feeling good about it. I tell you what, my first cheddar, that was horrendous. It was like none of those curds knitted together, and all of it just stuck to the cheesecloth. I had to throw the cheesecloth away and everything. So definitely better than that. So we're good, guys. Again, I'm just going to continue to kind of give it a little spin if it has any more give, and just keep an eye on it. So 24 hours, we'll take this cheese out and that'll be done pressing. So we'll let you see what it looks like after 24. Morning again, guys. It is about 32 hours that this cheddar has been pressing, and it's time for us to take it out so that we can get it out drying so we can wax this bad boy and start aging it. Alright, looking nice and pressed. Oh my goodness. One thing I don't care for this press is it likes to leave these black marks on things. But I don't know, I do have this other one too, but they painted it, and this part is painted red too, so that might actually help with that, but either way, it still presses. Look at that, guys. So that is looking good. So all these little marks and stuff, those will actually go away, but not too bad. It's looking really nice and pressed, so we're going to dry this out. I'm just going to set it on a rack, and I'm going to put it in our Hillbilly Cheese Cave, which we just kind of keep 2 liters of ice and stuff so that it stays really cold in there, because we're wanting to age it around 50 degrees, but you should also dry it out around the same temp. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully this will be good. I will definitely be trying it out. I'm going to cut it open. I'm just going to cut some slivers off every couple of months to see and take notes on it and just see the progression month for month. So cross fingers, this is going to be really good in here in 2 months, guys. Alright, so thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.